Welcome in. Welcome in. So, I wanted to start today. Come on and pull up a chair in my living room. I'm Laura with Trustee Guidance, and today we're going to have one of those honest, heart to heart, trustee wisdom conversations. We could sit on the sofa with some coffee, but the dog took over the sofa about a year ago. So, here we are. You've just been named a trustee after a loved one passed, and I want you to know you're not alone. You don't have to figure this out by yourself. I'm going to share my top five hard won lessons during the trustee administration process. The most impactful lesson was asking better questions of your advisors, especially your estate attorney. They can be key. But before we get to that lesson, let me share with you how I got here. Back in 2015, I stepped into this role for the first time, helping my mom administer my stepfather and then my grandfather's trust. And the attorney was wonderful with the legal side, but no one prepared me or prepared us for everything else. The grief was heavy, the paperwork was endless, and suddenly this was like a part time job for months. And I was just not prepared for that. I kept thinking, why didn't anyone tell me about this part? All the other stuff you have to do. I thought the attorney did everything. And that's exactly why I created Trustee Guidance, to be the guide that I wish I had about all the non accounting, non legal stuff. So let's start to go through my top five hard won lessons. Lesson one, you truly don't know what you don't know, and that's perfectly normal. The biggest shock for me was how much this role touches every part of your life. It's not just about signing papers, it's emotional, it's logistical. It takes way longer than you expect. What helped me was giving myself permission to say, this is just a season, it won't be forever. And just even though you don't may not know the end date, know that there will be an end date. Lesson two was the grief and deadlines do not play nice. Take care of yourself. You probably have a life that you're trying to live on top of all of this extra responsibility. About a week after the funeral, when we met with the estate attorney for the first time, and we just walked away from that meeting with a very long list of things to do. And this was a highly organized trust. There wasn't anything that was missing. My stepfather was very meticulous. So this was laid out really well. And we were still very overwhelmed. I was very overwhelmed. And mom was grieving. I tried to take as much as I could off her plate. And so I learned the hard way that you can't pour into an empty cup. So just my simple hack, block off at least 1 hour a day, a week, whatever you need, where you're just not doing any trustee tasks. You're not responding to emails. You're not scheduling an attorney meeting. You're not going through files. And just give yourself time to walk and to cry or to journal or to do whatever you need to do in order to grieve. And you'll actually get way more done when you honor your heart that way and you just allow grief to happen when it needs to happen. Lesson three, family dynamics will show up. So address them early and often. I've watched too many of my clients' families fracture over the smallest things because no one talked about expectations. My trick is to send a gentle group email or have a family meeting early that says, hey, we're all grieving in our own way. Here's how I'm planning to keep everyone in the loop. And it just prevents a whole lot of headaches. And if you don't know the details yet, which you probably won't, say that. A lot of people just expect this to go very simply. And if they're not in the weeds and talking to the attorney, then they just don't understand. You just have to keep telling people where you are, what you're working on. And if you don't know, you don't know. And you just need to let them know that. Lesson four, simple systems to save your sanity. You don't need fancy software. If you've got that, great. But I just used a plain notebook and a couple of folders at first, one for due today and one for waiting on professionals, stuff that they needed to see or questions I had for them at the next meeting. And then one for done, which is a great folder. I color-coded sticky notes were my best friend because I love that, but use whatever you need to do. Treat it like a project. And do digital if you wish. A lot of the documents that we had were very paper oriented, so I just stuck with that system. It worked well. But just keep it organized, especially when you aren't familiar with the details of the estate. This ramp up period of getting everything organized is probably going to be the longest period, the most complicated period. Lesson number 5, and here's the best lesson that I learned, is ask better questions of your professionals. Attorneys, estate attorneys, CPAs are great at their jobs, but they don't always know what you don't know to ask. So they're only as knowledgeable about the estate as the information you give them. So you need to give them as much information as you can and really be very diligent about communicating with them your questions and asking them things like, if you were in my shoes, what would you be worried about right now, especially based on your individual trust issues and administration. And it just opened up a much more practical wisdom and helped me feel more in control. Another question that you could ask any one of your professionals is, what common things do people miss in the estate administration process? And that'll be very helpful, and it'll get them thinking about just the things that, because like I said, they're only as knowledgeable as what you tell them or what they read in the documents. So it's really important that you have really good communication with your advisors. They're great, and use them because they will be very helpful. And they've done this many a time, so they can really see things that may be an issue down the road and address those early, or tell you that you need to address those early. If you're feeling that mix of grief and overwhelm and I don't want to mess this up, please know you've already taken the most important step by being here and learning more. You've got this. One conversation at a time, one day at a time. I'm not a lawyer or a CPA or an investment advisor. I am just someone that has walked this path multiple times, and I want to help you do it with more confidence and less isolation. So if you'd like to learn more, then grab my book on Amazon. I put some notes, a link in the notes. And if you're ready for more, that's great. I have a website as well. But I am so glad that you have spent a few minutes, that you're learning more, you're being better, and you're prepared. So see you soon.